Another day in the NBA here, and we are back on the grind after a week off. The All-Star break, the players got their rest. The All-Stars here on stream got my rest too. Of course, the grind continues on Splash Plays. It always does. We're going to dig in and compare my projections back on it again. Looking at my data, top projected plays, top value plays. We'll compare to Stokastic along the way. We'll hop over to game by game as well, see where the ownership lies, where the leverage may be as well. We'll hop over to Stokastic, run a sim, see what their top DFS lineups are right now according to ROI. I'll do a hand build, and by the end of this video, guys, you will once again know all the industry's must plays along with my splash plays for today, February 19th, 2026. Let's get into it. Again, hope it was a good time off for you guys. Hope my audio's coming through clear. We got the chat starting to go off here. Appreciate you guys. Also do have a new way to get the video out on Twitter because Twitter's still broken in terms of posting videos from StreamYard as far as I'm aware. So now we're only posting videos to YouTube, but I found a way to make an automatic tweet for it. So that's some of the things I've been working on during this week off. A lot of improvements to the splashplay.podcast.com website, as you guys will hopefully see throughout the course of the stream here. But, you know, you guys know the deal for this point, or at this point here. Appreciate you guys' likes and subscribes as you come in. Appreciate all the love you guys have shown in recent weeks. And I'm excited to be back here, really, for having the week off before the break. If you guys were watching the videos, you might know, and you might not. Really had a really good run before the break, and I kind of didn't want to take that week off. Not in addition, just like my DFS play being good, but also launching the splashplaypodcast.com site, getting that working in a way that now looks good. You can sign up directly through it instead of having to go through YouTube. You still can go through YouTube, but if you want to save some money and also get in there easier, splashplaypodcast.com, buy directly through there, save yourself some money, all that stuff. I wanted to kind of just keep things going because content was going well, views were going well, 5 videos in a row over 2K views, which is one of my goals to get the video on a regular basis. So I would like that to continue here now that we're after the All-Star break, guys. So appreciate you guys being here, but that's where my brain is at. Now we're going to get back to the work and strap in for 4 months through the NBA Finals. So lots coming up. And hey, man, been a while didn't see you. I mean, we didn't have any games. So I show up when there's NBA games, and I don't show up when there aren't. That's the way things go around here. But top projected plays now. Let's get into it. We got Jalen Johnson, number 1. And Jalen Johnson, for what it looks right now, looks like a very important play for me on this slate. Field's at 23%. Seems like a less important play for the field. He won't be quite as chalky as a man in the thumbnail today, Tyrese Maxey. Both guys in this matchup, though, Jalen Johnson and Tyrese Maxey, benefiting from one big thing. No Joel Embiid today. Despite the All-Star break, he is back on the injured list. Actually, not sure what, I don't even think it matters, but 76ers schedule, I'm not sure if that's a thing where they're keeping him out on the front end of a back-to-back. Nope, they don't play again until Saturday. So not a great sign for Joel Embiid to be missing this game. That said, because he's out, we're going to get more usage for Tyrese Maxey and the remaining Sixers, who are also benefiting from no Paul George. They did sign Tyrese Martin to the rotation, but something where I don't expect him to debut today, and they have enough guys where he might actually be a guy that plays minutes moving forward. But how it looks right now for Jalen Johnson, I have him at a 53.6 projection. Again, a guy where we know we'll benefit from having no clogging paint center out there like Joel Embiid. For Jalen Johnson as well, gets the benefit for having no Porzingis anymore, no Trae Young anymore as well. Okongwu is out there, but not been as productive per minute as Jalen Johnson across the board. So for Jalen Johnson, I think one of the things in my data I do notice a lot with Jalen Johnson, I think my projection is a little bit higher than Stokastic's. My Okongwu one's a little bit lower. So if you want to go lower than what I'm getting on Jalen Johnson, I would get that. Maybe get more Okongwu in those situations. But right now the field's at 23%. I'm in 33. And all my top ROI lineups as well being generated through my projections are showing Jalen Johnson up top. I think he's the most important play on the slate for me right now at a 10-4 salary. Not a lot of guys to pay up for on the slate. Jokic is on the night slate. I'm not sure if FanDuel has those games on today because I haven't really looked. But for Jalen Johnson, really for DraftKings today, he'll be a guy getting about half my lineups, would be my guess. And if nothing else, a third of my lineups he's making, right now as a winning player. Tyrese Maxey, 9,600 here, number 2. So going to put him on the thumbnail before the data came out this morning. Felt pretty good about what his numbers would look like today relative to projections. And then for the ownership as well, coming in real high, 51% expected ownership by Stokastic. Right now, I'm getting Maxey in 43% of my winning lineups across 100,000 contest sims. Of course, the big difference here in this channel that I built in really just for the volume of things. I don't think it actually matters if you're running 100,000 sims or 25,000, 10,000. But 100,000, you get a little more confidence in the data. And some of the random outliers that'll pop up in a 10,000 contest sims, they'll get flattened out a little bit more. For Maxey, the fact that he's showing as only a 43% player, making winning lineups rather at a 43% clip, I think does speak to the fact he's a little bit overowned. And a ceiling too, probably not quite as high, counting for a standard deviation. And I will say anecdotally, I do play Maxey a lot when Embiid's been out. That's been more frequently lately. He's been not great in these spots, lately overall too. Having the All-Star break maybe helps him out a little bit. Could be some exhaustion for Maxey, who does play I think, the highest minutes total in the league in terms of his average per game. So for Maxey, that's the concern point I have, is that he hasn't been good to me the last couple times I've played him with him beat out. Definitely with the field not nearly as high as they are today at 51%. But the rates back out overall without him beat. I'll spare you guys doing NBA Wowie too early here because we've got a ton of games. Maxey with Embiid and Paul George off the court has put up 1.25 DK points per minute this year on 32% usage, 29% assist rate. So he's been good, but he really hasn't been better with those guys off than he is normally. That's the issue I have with Maxey and the ownership he has. But I'm going to get him in about 40% of my lineups, I think, no matter what. Fields at 51. It's a little bit of a high ownership, but really for him, the big issue I have with Maxey is that there's a lot of guys you can pay up for that aren't him, and the fact that he has disappointed sometimes lately without Embiid. We got Victor Wembanyama, 10-5 salary, 29-minute projection from Stokastic, only 5% owned, going against a Phoenix team that, with Mark Williams out there, I think that's probably to keep Wemby in position to, number one, succeed away from the paint if he is going to get some threes going. Number two, being close to the rim can give him some more rebound upsides, more block upside as well. You're going against Mark Williams and the endless wings that Phoenix has to throw at them. No Dylan Brooks today because he's suspended after his technical foul accumulation. But for Wemby at 5% ownership, I think that's the most appealing thing about him, is that he's 5% owned on a slate where Jalen Johnson at 10-4 is going to be 23% owned. You have Cade at 10-3. He'll be owned at 11%. So even though he won't be super owned, he's still going to be 2X's owned as much as Wemby is. So I think for Wemby, not a player that normally pops in a major way in my projections. Today I have him at 48.8. Stokastic has him at 48.5. Would say that projection-wise, I think he's safely behind Jalen Johnson and Maxey. But for large field tournaments, if you capture that Wemby ceiling, for Jalen Johnson and Maxey, those guys are going to be more than owned. Wemby mostly unowned. Cade Cunningham, 11% on the slate. My projection a little bit lower today at 48.6 and Stokastic's at 49.8. Cade getting a slight rate uptick for having no Jalen Duren out there, no Isaiah Stewart. Duren, one more game on his suspension. Stewart, I think 6 more. For Cade, though, 11% owned. I got him at 13%. Not a super exciting play, I think, relative to the projection, where he is only a 4.7x value. But the fact that he's 10-3 and he's at point guard, for center, we have a lot of our value guys, a lot of our mid-tier pay-up options, like a Day'Ron Sharpe, who we'll talk about, like a Paul Reed, who we're going to talk about. Again, benefits from having the same Pistons players not available that Cade's theoretically benefiting from. But, those guys are taking up center spots. That makes it hard to get to Wemby, easier to get to a Cade who's at point guard, and we don't really have point guard value we're flocking to get to. So Cade, 11% for the field. I'm getting at 13. Not a big stand here, but he is a guy that I think is a pay-up option, is not Tyrese Maxey. And that alone, if he beats out Maxey, I mean, that's the way you win a tournament, is if he beats out Maxey and you get the rest of the lineup right around him, maybe get a unique piece here because, Cade's $700 more expensive. It's just how DFS works. Whether he gets there or not, that's like the ownership is more than deserved is really the main point. Alperen Şengün, $9,200 salary on DK today, 43.3 projection. Stokastic has him at 42.1. Fields is 7% ownership. I'm getting 6.3% right now. For Şengün, the good thing is that you're facing Charlotte. He's also power forward and center, so you can get him away from some of that center value that we're going to want to play today, or semi-value that we're going to want to play today. But Şengün, 9,200 price tag seems more than fair. You could certainly ask the questions too. And unlike, the Zach Lowe's out there, the legitimate media guys, they don't want to talk about KD's burner. I read all of the KD files. You could actually, I think there's a website now that has them all compiled. I believe it's kdfiles.com. If you want to see his group chat tweets that all got leaked. But basically for KD, he did deny, he didn't deny. He said he's not going to talk about Twitter nonsense right now, which is a non-denial, which probably means that it was, in fact, him talking on group chats under burners. How do the guys like Şengün respond, though, is like a legit question to Şengün himself. He posted or reposted, I think, a Jabari Smith thing on Instagram. And look, I don't really care about this stuff that much, but this is kind of interesting, and it might have some DFS implications facing a Charlotte team that's good this year, but still, not particularly equipped to stop guys like Şengün with Diabate out. Does Şengün get more motivated because of Kevin Durant shitting on him in group chats? Jabari Smith getting more motivated, I don't think matters that much because he's not really that guy that's going to get a ton of shots up. But Şengün could incredibly take a ton of usage, play it more aggressively defensively, like he did that one game where he was like a total turnstile on defense. The next game came out, had 2 blocks, 2 steals. For Şengün, that's sort of the player he is, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him push things up a little bit higher. That said, in the data, he's not coming up. So it's one of those things where, like, how does this impact things? Probably comes out in the wash. Like, it could be a positive that he's mad at KD, gets more shots up. Could be a negative, the team plays worse, and they've already been playing worse with Steven Adams out anyway. For Şengün at power forward center, I think if you are a narrative spinner, there's a little bit of reason to at least be with the field. 7% ownership. He's going to be barely played on the slate. And he's a guy that does have maybe a narrative reason to go a little bit more crazy in the spot against Charlotte than he would otherwise. Donovan Mitchell, $9,500 salary. So far and let's go to NBA Wire for this one because I do want to make sure I have things aligned with how they have been before the All-Star break. For Cleveland so far, it's been a lot of deference by James Harden, at least going into their last game before the All-Star break. When did they trade for Harden? I want to get the exact date, but we can approximate. Let's go February 10th through the 19th here for Cleveland. This is 2027. Oops. All right. That's 28 minutes. We got to get more. Let's go to the 6th. Just trying to find all the maximum amount of Harden Mitchell court time to make the point I'm about to make here. You kind of see it in that data already. Let's go back to the 3rd. Okay, and now we're out of hard minutes. So let's go the 5th to the 19th for the Cavs right now. So James Harden's had only a 23% usage rate, more assists, 12 assists per 100. Incredible efficiency, 67% true shooting. Donovan Mitchell, though, has deferred no usage at all. You have a new teammate coming in. You might think there's one of those things where they have to figure out, find their depth a little bit better. No. In fact, Donovan Mitchell is just gunning as much as he ever has. 38% usage, a 9% assist rate. Now, it's important to keep in mind here that Evan Mobley's been out as well, so Mobley's coming back in today. That could affect the feng shui of how the opportunity is going to flow around for these guys moving forward. But even Jared Allen has had a higher usage rate than James Harden so far, so it does make it kind of weird. The big thing when you see Donovan Mitchell coming up, though, is that he's gunning no matter what. Getting Harden in, his usage is as high as it's been without Garland, without Mobley on the court. So for Mitchell right now, the projection to me, pretty low at a 4.4x value. Only 42 fantasy points for me. Stokastic has him closer to 43. But I think for Mitchell today, I kind of expect things to start to flow back Harden's way, but Mitchell is such a ball hog, and Harden at this point is happy to defer and he was doing it enough for the Clippers, create assists instead of just gunning in the way that he has historically. I think Mitchell's been the bigger winner from how the opportunities have shaken out so far. That said, for the projections today, it's just their season-long rates in my data, so I'm expecting Mitchell to give up some of that usage again, Harden to get more, but so far it's been a legit 15% flip in usage for Donovan Mitchell versus usage for James Harden. So Mitchell's role might be undervalued by me, and Harden's role might be overvalued by me. We see him pop up in some lineups in a little bit. LaMelo Ball creating accidents in Charlotte over the All-Star break. Doesn't seem to matter too much. I don't think anybody got seriously hurt. We're not talking Rashee Rice territory for him. But right now, $8,400 salary. Maybe LaMelo's minutes can get a little bit higher from the 30-minute limit it's been at basically this entire season so far. But for LaMelo at this point, $8,400 facing Houston, not a great matchup. 8% owned. I'm at 10%. I think the salary at $8,400, again, a point guard play. So we like these guys more than our center, where we're going to put value in there. We're going to put, if not value like Tristan Vukcevic, we're going to put in, Day'Ron Sharpe, we're going to put in Paul Reed. For point guard, there's no value you're going to really try to get to. So LaMelo Ball at $8,400, one way to spend some salary. Does have a ceiling. We have seen him go nuts in limited minutes. And for, LaMelo too, does get a rate increase for no Miles Bridges out there. Diabate is a break-even play for him. Doesn't really impact LaMelo in any real way. But LaMelo looks okay to me, about a 41.5 projection for me. Stokastic has meant 39.4. And Charlotte again, Brandon Miller, small forward, also pretty tough on this slate, facing Houston at an 8K salary. Not a great spot, but with no Miles Bridges out there, that has been a meaningful uptick in production for Brandon Miller. I have Miller right now at 41.2. Stokastic has meant 37. That gets me 16% Brandon Miller in the fields at 8. And I will say, too, with that salary, Brandon Miller does seem to come up in a lot of my top ROI lineups as well in the 100,000 contest sims I ran before the show. So I think Brandon Miller, another good play here, like LaMelo, even though Houston's defense, not a matchup we're normally trying to steer into. But, they've been, I think, 8-5 since Steven Adams went out, have not been the best team, rebounding terribly as well, not defending the rim as well. These are things that can be good for both Ball and, to a lesser extent, for Brandon Miller. We're going to sort by value here, guys. Before we do that, please do show some love if you can. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And we're back on the grind here after the 1 week off. No games available, so it means you don't get me, but games are back on, guys. So we're going to be back on the grind Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. And it does mean a lot here. Again, you guys were smashing that like button for the All-Star break, getting regularly over 250 likes. That means that I get more views as well. So that's really the goal here. Keep smashing that like button if you can, and I promise I'll keep showing up and doing the work throughout the NBA Finals is the goal. So about 4 more months from where we are right now. Of course, check out Stokastic as well. If you want the best way to build idiot-proof, great DFS lineups, go over to Stokastic. Even if you want to play the shittiest player on an NBA slate, they will do the best they can to find you good lineups with that player in them. That's what the big thing you have with Stokastic. You'll get, if you just take it right off the line, straight factory settings, you'll get good lineups. If you give your own personal touch on there and you know what you're doing, you'll find probably lineups that could win you 100 grand in a slate based on some of the people that do win that money over and over again. And if you're just a fucking idiot and terrible at this, you'll lose less money. I know it's not the best sales pitch, but like on that side of things, but that's the reality of it. If you want to get good at DFS, following the Sims, listening to their data, that's what you can do. But if you're one of those people that's just going to be bullheaded and make bad plays night after night too, they'll give you the best versions of those with Stokastic. So check it out, link down below. But really, if you want to get better in NBA DFS, now's the time to do it because, it's a new start of the season here, basically with this all-star break. And this time of year, I think you're going to benefit from data more than ever because of the fact that really sites like Stokastic calibrate well for when we are in tanking season and players that other industry, sites out there don't even know. Stokastic has a ton of data on and knows how to handle it. So check them out. Link down below. Get 15% off with the promo code SPLASH when you get over there. And last but not least, splashplaypodcast.com. Join the site right now, of course. $10 off is a big thing on there. You can still sign up through YouTube, log into the site through Discord, keep those memberships if you want. But if you want to save more money and get me more money, join on splashplaypodcast.com. You get $10 off, and all you have to do to log in on there is get your email. Also have ways to log in on Stripe, or to not log in through Stripe, rather, but also to get on the Discord. You get all the same stuff you got on YouTube besides the channel membership if you join on splashplaypodcast.com. So check it out. Do that stuff if you can. And if nothing else, hit that like button and subscribe because it means a lot to me here. Withdrawals from DFS and splash plays subsiding. I don't know what that means, but sure. Only playing FanDuel, but the info is universally needed. That's true. I mean, look, I think FanDuel, you're pretty much one-to-one with what I'm doing here for the most part. Pricing's going to be different, obviously. For betting, though, like I know enough people out there that have had their best betting years and give me shouts out for that. So I think if you're here and you're just understanding what goes into data for NBA and what, what every team looks like on a given day where we have a ton of shit moving around in this part of the NBA season, you'll be good. You'll be good to go. But all right, let's go value plays here. And one thing to keep in mind that might impact some of the value and how things move moving forward is those fines for the Jazz and who's the other team? One other team got fined. Was it the Thunder? It was somebody else. No, it was another tanky team that got fined. I'm now totally blanking on it. But the Jazz got a really big fine. Jazz got a fine where they were, I think, obscuring the injury report. But also the fine might have been from the in-game stuff, subbing the starters out in the fourth quarter, not putting them back in. For a team like Washington, who's also been doing the same thing, they were the one that got fined, right? They got fined $100K, I think is what it was. Either way, though, for teams right now that are in that tanking competition, they might have to be more mindful of it moving forward. And Washington has been one of those teams that has been pulling starters early, not playing guys in the fourth quarter if the game's even remotely competitive. So for how it looks, that could be something. Might have been Pacers. Is that it? Okay. It could be a million fucking different teams at this point. Really the Pacers, the Wizards, yeah, okay. So Pacers, Wizards, Jazz, your worst culprit so far. Brooklyn, though, is pretty bad, too, even though they've won a few games that have been tank-offs. For Washington, though, it could be one of those things where I think Vucevic is going to get his minutes no matter what. Sharif Cooper's coming up in number 2. He's been, I'll call him their tank commander. He's not, bad. He's just kind of a dude. He probably shouldn't really be in the NBA. He's nothing special. But every game recently, he's closing fourth quarters out. A lot of these games have been out of hand as well. And in real blowouts, he's playing upwards of 30-plus minutes. For Sharif Cooper, I think he's a value where I question if he gets the minutes today to the same extent because, they might not play Sharif Cooper. They might give Keyshawn George another stint, something like that, just to make it look like they're being competitive. For Vucevic, though, he's going to start. His minutes might be capped because he was healthy before the All-Star break, then missed the last game before the break when they actually didn't have Sar because he was hurt again. So for Vucevic, his minutes might be limited. That said, he's a value where he's going to get the run most likely no matter what. He'll probably be the starting center, Anthony Gill backing him up. Field right now is getting 52%. Tristan Vucevic, I'm getting 68%. I don't think he's in every lineup play because I do think there's minutes risk. He also gets a huge amount of foul trouble issues every time. In fact, the last time he started, he picked up 3 fouls with 10 minutes left in the second quarter. Didn't get back on the court throughout the entire time period. But Vucevic, I think, is more secure value than Sharif Cooper. Both guys, though, playing for Washington in what should be a tank-off kind of game. Pascal Siakam sitting for Indiana's side. Indiana's already traded off a few of their pieces. Zubac not getting back in anytime soon or getting in for this team to make his debut anytime soon. I just it's one of those things where these guys are your best values on the slate, but there's real concern, I think, for both of them, but especially Cooper. So Vucevic right now, priority play. Sharif Cooper, much lower play. Field's only at 7%, and I'm getting 24. But he's a guy where I think the minutes might be lower than Stokastic is given at 25.9, just because they might play him like he should get played, is probably 20 minutes max, just to throw people off the scent a little bit. And Isaac here clarifying, Jazz 500K, Pacers 100K, so there you go. So, yeah, I think both might have been more injury report related than in-game stuff. I I don't know. It's just something to watch out for that teams are now, because they're being watched more, they might fuck around less. And like I've talked about on stream for basically the last month, this is the earliest the tanking kind of pole position stuff has began. So I think the genie, they might try to put the genie back in the bottle a little bit. But for these teams, they also could keep racking up fines. And unless it's going to be losing the pick, it might be worth it to them to, for Utah to not lose their pick. They have to stay in the top 8, I believe, to not lose their pick. And then for teams like Washington, just to have a shot at getting DeBansa or I suppose Darren Peterson up top, I mean, they're going to lose because those guys are probably worth it. Peterson, you can make your questions about. But anyway, for Washington right now, top values right now are Vucevic and Sharif Cooper. Just, a little more of a grain of salt on them because it can get weird for Cooper in particular. Sorry, it's a long-winded way to explain it, but like for the NBA right now, there's so many like micro things that kind of matter to how you approach a DFS slate. And I'm trying to give you guys in my brain, even though it's a pain in the ass. Like the NBA this year has been more of a pain in the ass than ever as it relates to the tanking stuff, in my opinion. Paul Reed, 31% ownership for the field. I'm at 35. My projection about 34.6. Stokastic's at 34.4. For Paul Reed, the big thing that gave me some hope last time out is they really did jam a ton of minutes to him. When we did have Jalen Durden and Isaiah Stewart out, I was concerned they could get more Tolu Smith in the mix. They didn't seem like they want to do that a bunch. For Paul Reed, though, playing the Knicks, some risk of foul trouble here, but I think if he stays out of foul trouble, he should be fine. He's produced just shy of 1.3 DK points per minute this year with having Stewart and having Duren off the court. So Paul Reed, Jaron Sharp as well, similar plays. These guys now not crazy values. They're not in that 3K range where we would jam them in every lineup, but they're guys that still have a pretty big ceiling, and the price tag maybe draws people off a little bit more than they would if they were cheap. Grant Williams, 4K salary for him. Not a great play, but gaining minutes because having no Miles Bridges in there and no Diabate. Grant Williams, the field's at 24%. I'm at 35. Grant Williams, not a terribly exciting play generally. But this year, with having Bridges off the court, he's putting up a respectable 0.83 fantasy points per minute. So Grant Williams, not a great play, but a value that's a pivot to Tristan Vucevic at power forward. And really, the slate doesn't have great value. Like, you have your Washington guys who we talked about at enough length. You have Paul Reed and Daron Sharp, who are underpriced, but not really good values. You have Bona and Drummond taking some of that Embiid role, but neither of them is really guaranteed all the minutes in the world. So guys like Grant Williams look more valuable right now. If we get some other players ruled out, perhaps unexpectedly as the slate goes on, then Grant Williams, I would say, matters a lot less. But 31 minutes for a guy who's 4K and producing about 0.85 fantasy points a minute. He's a decent play today, even though he's not the most fun. Daron Sharp, again, very similar to Paul Reed here. In terms of who's a better per minute producer, these guys are pretty much dead even, but I like Daron Sharp a little bit more, I think, personally, because I think Daron Sharp's minutes less likely to get jerked around with Nick Claxton out. But Paul Reed, for whatever it's worth, the last time that he played with those guys out, Paul Reed's minutes were not jerked around. So I have a little bit of a historical wound for Paul Reed getting jerked around previously. But for Sharp, I think the minutes are secure. Facing Cleveland, tough matchup on paper, but not as tough as it used to be last season. Right now, my projection as well is about 1.6 fantasy points higher than Stokastic. I have Daron Sharp at 34.8. They have him at 33.2. Field right now is getting 42% ownership on Daron Sharp. I'm only getting 32 across my 100,000 contest sims. So I think for Daron Sharp, he is a good play today. I think the fact that Paul Reed's a little bit cheaper and these guys are basically the same projection. I have Paul Reed at 34.6, Daron Sharp at 34.8. I'd probably favor Paul Reed for that reason. But I think fundamentally, to me, like if you play Paul Reed and Daron Sharp a couple slates ago, that just didn't happen enough. I think with Vucevic being the value that comes up a lot, I think there's a world where a Paul Reed, Daron Sharp lineup wins again today. And people just play Vucevic too much and he gets into foul trouble, or because he's hurt, he just doesn't play more than 20 minutes, something like that. But Daron Sharp, Paul Reed are guaranteed roles to some extent. And I think they both are pretty good plays at their salaries just under 6K. Andre Drummond, $4,300 salary. Minutes split with Adem Bona is the big reason he's not coming up more here. Fields 11%. I'm getting 12. Really want to know who's going to start here. But Drummond's not been a great producer on the year. I'm only at a 24.3 projection today, accounting for his rates with no Paul George and without Joel Embiid. Stokastic rather is giving you about a 25.9 projection. So I think Drummond, definitely a pivot to Tristan Vucevic, exact same salary. Certainly if you had, I guess, Daron Sharp and Paul Reed fail and they were higher owned, line up with Vucevic and Drummond could theoretically pay off. But Drummond, not the most exciting player to me this year. And frankly, I haven't played him a lot, even in the games where Embiid's been out, because the minutes are not the most secure for him with Bona being in. So I don't see it being a spot I'm going to make a stand in favor of him today. I'd rather play Vucevic. I'd rather play Paul Reed. I'd rather play Daron Sharp and just deal with whatever happens with those guys. Dominic Barlow, 4K salary, power forward center eligibility helps out a lot here. 25-minute projection gets him about 22.4 fantasy points for me, closer to 22 fantasy points from Stokastic. But Barlow at 4K is a value in a slate where you don't have great value. I extolled the virtues of Grant Williams not that long ago. So Barlow, not a better play, but very similar one. Fields at 18%. I'm at 26. Barlow does occasionally have a ceiling. I had him hit my lineups with the massive ceiling game he had a couple weeks ago. But it doesn't happen that often. And for Barlow, there's opportunity, but I don't know how much of that goes his way. And Jarris Walker here, facing the Pacers. He's been probably your best permanent contributor. Also, great guy in NBA 2K, I've learned recently, because I started a franchise. And Jarris Walker, I was like, you know what? He does a little bit of everything. I'll draft him. And he really could knock down threes in that game, at least with me at the controller. So good for Jarris Walker. In real life, though, the big thing that he does, he rebounds a little bit, assists a little bit, gets usage at a good rate. With this team now being down Pascal Siakam as well. Jarris Walker this year with Siakam off the court has put up 0.91 fantasy points minute on 23% usage, 13% assist rate. Terrible shooting at 53% true shooting, but if he gets hot and has that kind of role, it can get better for him. Nembhard's probably going to be your big winner, having the ball in his hands the most, but I would say Jarris Walker out of that starting group, probably number 2. So for Jarris Walker, not a value at this point, 5,900. I would rather play Paul Reed and Daron Sharp at that same price tag, but at small forward, power forward, Jarris Walker works decently. Fields at 41%. I'm at 45. We're going to go game by game here, guys. Probably taking too long on all the values and top plays, but doing the best I can to catch you guys up in case you haven't been paying attention before the All-Star break. But show us some love again, guys. If you can, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. No matter what's going on in my life or the NBA, if there are games going on and there's tournaments, I'm showing up and doing the work Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. And that's my promise to you, preparing you guys as best I can every single day. So please show that love back, hit that like button and subscribe. It goes a long way for me. Just an independent creator doing the best I can to show you guys my work every day gambling on the NBA. Of course, check out Stokastic too. Again, you want to build good lineups for DFS no matter what. Use their Sims products, 15% off with the promo code SPLASH over there. SPLASH. Always a little bit of a spelling bee to spell words out loud these days. Please do. I'm good at writing, but spelling words out loud, I feel like it's like a panic trigger in my brain. I'm going to fuck it up. Please do check it out. Link down below. Again, 15% off any package, weekly, monthly, even yearly over there. Check it check it out over at Stokastic. And get 15% off promo code SPLASH. I'm going to learn how to talk again one of these days, guys. I promise. And last but not least, you want to see all the data I show you here on screen? Get it over at splashplaypodcast.com, $10 off. And that's not even including stuff like the Apple VIG if you guys are paying through that, through YouTube. I appreciate you guys signing up and doing that. But if you guys want to save the most money and give the most money to me, join down below over at splashplaypodcast.com. No promo code needed because you're saving a lot of money compared to YouTube. Even tails. So check that out. Link down below. All right. Let's go game by game here. We got Brooklyn at Cleveland, 229.5. Of course, this is one of the screens you get if you join the Squirt Squad tier through splashplaypodcast.com. But we got right now in this Brooklyn game, MPJ not coming up meaningfully for me. It's mostly just Daron Sharp. Fields at 42% Daron Sharp in this game where the Nets have 106.5 implied points. Not a great total here. MPJ going off in this spot. He has had the big usage bump with no Cam Thomas out there, but at a 41-point projection, $8,600 salary, I think he's mostly appropriately priced. I'm always down for tournament shares of MPJ, but at the field, it's 8%, let's say. I'm getting 7.5. That's enough. Nolan Traore has been good lately. I feel like when I said this guy's going to be good at some point this year, he really took that personally and decided to be good immediately. That said, still shooting terribly at 51% true shooting, but he's starting to shoot a little bit better, starting to get luckier on the assists as well, where he's pretty unlucky with the assists that or potential assists he was generating compared to the output he was getting because guys were not making shots. Lately, they've been making a few more from him. But Traore, if he just starts to shoot a little bit better, he'll round into a very nice DFS play at 4,600 point guard. You're not really in that price tier a lot at point guard this week, so it makes it more unique for it. But the field's 11%. I only have him as being about a 7% play. Nolan Traore, that is. Cleveland, 123 implied points here. Like we talked about earlier, the big rate winner from the the James Harden trade has been Donovan Mitchell. I'm getting 9% of Mitchell right now. Fields at 7. Think being above the field on Mitchell makes sense given the fact that he's held on to that 38% usage rate despite having James Harden on his team. James Harden, 4% owned by the field. I have him at 8%. Again, really feel like Harden's rates have suffered exponentially from joining the Cavs so far, but it's only been about 220 possessions or so. So like when you get to 1,000, that's when we could start to panic a little bit more because that should mean the rates are pretty predictable moving forward. I would guess that James Harden starts to get more usage here. That said, neither guy projects as a great value for Mitchell and Harden. It is a low-pace game despite the great total for the Cavs with 123 implied points. So I think there's tournament love for Mitchell and Harden just to get them at, under 10%, but not really above that. But these guys are not really compelling projection plays on paper. Houston at Charlotte, 216.5 combined points here. Again, the narratives about KD's burners and all that, how does it affect these guys? I don't know. But right now, projection-wise, nothing pops up too much. KD himself, 10% owned by the field. I have him at 9. The fact that he's shooting guard, small forward, 8,600, and does have a palpable ceiling does mean that he gets into lineups, but not a great projection play, only a 4.5x value. Şengün, if you're going to give me the narrative stuff for KD's burner to anybody here, I feel like Şengün would be the one that would benefit the most because he is somebody who's actually kind of good, and I think some of his issues are just not trying enough on defense. He can also be one of those guys, frankly, that gets the most mercurial. Like, I don't think Jabari Smith's going to fuck things up, but Şengün could play in a way that I think gets sloppier too if he's negatively motivated by the situation. Don't think these are things you want to consider when playing these guys because they're not very highly owned. But, for Şengün, if he gets 6%, Fields at 7, that's what I have right now. That feels fine. Durant getting around the field's 9% and change. That feels fine. Jabari Smith, the narrative too there. He's at 1% for the field. Projects terribly, but those are your 3 guys who want to spin a narrative. They're the ones that have a narrative right now. Charlotte, 106 implied points here. Tough total going against Houston. Big sim play right now is Grant Williams, getting him in 35% of my winning lineups across 100,000 contest sims. Fields only at 24%. Grant Williams undervalued as a 4K value play, even though, again, not a very fun play to make today with his projections being where they are. And the fact he's only scoring 0.8 fantasy points a minute on the year. Brandon Miller here. Surprised to see him be over a 5x value in this matchup, but the rates do take a pretty big uptick for no Miles Bridges out there. So Fields at 8%, Brandon Miller, I have 2x that. And my projection, too, for what it's worth, is probably one of the biggest gaps on the slate. I have Brandon Miller 4.2 DK points higher than Stokastic does. Con Knipple, Fields at 9%, I'm getting 12. Happy to be above the field on him as well. Again, there is just enough to go around here for these guys. Theoretically, if Houston plays down, and obviously they have no Bridges out there, so that helps out a little bit. LaMelo Ball, Fields at 8%, I'm getting 10. Not a big stand there, but you'll have the money to spend on guys like LaMelo and Brandon Miller on the slate. Think for Charlotte, not a great spot on paper with the Vegas total in the matchup, but they've been competitive this year and just getting consolidated usage. Like, Bridges has not been great this year, and the guys who are better are now the ones that can get more shots up. I think there's something to that game, but, there's 4 7 o'clock games today, so, I don't think you want to die on the hill of that one so much, but if you get those guys in lineups, I wouldn't kick them out. Atlanta at Philly. I think this is the best total on the slate. Let me just confirm that real fast because we have so many games. It's the best total on the slate by about 5 points, so you should expect to get pieces from this game no matter what. But Atlanta with 118 implied points. The only piece I'm really getting here is Jalen Johnson, getting him in a third of my lineups. The Fields at 23. I always love Jalen Johnson. The rates do take appreciable upticks for him, having no more Kristaps Porzingis, no more Trae Young on the team. And really at this point, nobody else is affected as rates coming into the lineup either. Dyson Daniels getting 8%, Fields at 5. I think the price tag at 6,400 looks a little bit cheap, but not a very compelling play there. Guess a lot of wings that get usage on Philadelphia, so maybe Dyson gets a few more turnovers today. But I think it's mostly Jalen Johnson or bust here. Alexander Walker, I got at 5%. The Fields at 3. Happy to mix these guys in, but they are priced more than appropriately with Jalen Johnson in at this point. Philadelphia on their side, 119.5 implied points with no Joel Embiid. That helps out a lot. Pacers defense, pretty much a little bit worse than league average. Not a spot that we're worried about. For Maxey, like I mentioned earlier in the video, he has anecdotally busted a lot lately when Embiid's been out. That said, happy to be close to the field here. Field's higher at 51%. I'm at 43. But about a 50-point projection from Maxey will get him into a good amount of lineups today no matter what. VJ Edgecombe was making lineups a lot for me earlier, still making about a third of mine and a third of the Fields. Edgecombe gets a rate uptick for having no Paul George, no Embiid out there. 6,500 in shooting guard eligible. Kind of works well in a balanced build, I think. So for Edgecombe, I don't think a really great play today, but I do have him putting up 1.05 fantasy points a minute. And at shooting guard at 6,500, that's going to work. Kelly Oubre, shooting guard, small forward, 6,200, 22% owned by the field. I have him at that same 22. No stand for me on Kelly Oubre. My projection pretty much flat at about 30 fantasy points of change, but he'll be out there a lot. Really think the opportunity for him, Maxey, and Edgecombe is, it's going to be the highest for Maxey no matter what, but it's pretty similar, I think, for Oubre and Edgecombe, even though, Edgecombe does generally get more usage. Andre Drummond right now, if he were to start, I think you'd get more minutes for him than Adem Bona. But right now, Bona's getting 25 in Stokastic's projection, Drummond getting 22. Both guys look mostly unplayable to me. The Field's going to get you 13%. That's fine, but neither is a great play because of the existence of the other. Dominic Barlow, Fields at 18%. I'm getting 26. Quentin Grimes, Fields at 25%. I'm getting 26 and change. I really think nobody here on Philadelphia is a great play. Like, it really, to me, is Maxey, Edgecombe, Oubre. Those are the ones. But because you have Barlow, Grimes being cheap, same thing for Bona, Drummond. Any of those four can hit. I just don't feel like there's a lot of confidence you should have in any of them actually hitting. And hitting in a way, too, where, like, you needed to have them. Like, if they pay off 5x, sure. But, like, as a slate winning play in the first game of the slate, I'm not sold you had to have any of them, even if one of them does win today. Indiana at Washington, 232.5 implied points overall, or combined points. Indiana at 117.5 implied. Andrew Nembhard coming up a good amount for the field, but the guy I'm getting the most of is Jarris Walker. Fields at 41%, I have 45, and I did not boost him for being on my NBA 2K franchise, even though, if you're ever going to boost a guy, support your guys in NBA 2K. Jay Huff, 34% ownership for me right now. Fields at 35. I think he looks okay with the minutes at center being a little bit more reliable, but Micah Potter can still take some away. Jay Huff, I just don't trust it at 5,200. You're paying more than full fare for him. Andrew Nembhard, Fields at 29%. I'm at 26. Looks like a decent play here. Does get pretty big usage and assist upticks for no Pascal Siakam, but at his $7,300 price tag, you're getting what you pay for there. Kobe Brown, value play at 4K. You're seeing these 4K guys come up a little bit more here because that price tag allows you to get the studs around it. But Kobe Brown at 15% for me, Fields at 10. Not a very exciting play, but he'll get some shots up for Indiana. Neesmith, not a very exciting play either. Micah Potter, same thing. Indiana, Jarris Walker, I'm happy to get, but even at 5,900, like, I don't know, you're paying, if not his ceiling, close enough to it. But you're playing Washington, so a guy that does contribute rebounds and assists, it's kind of the spot you want to play him. Tristan Vukcevic, the big play on the Washington side here, and their 115 implied points. Vukcevic, Fields at 52%, I'm at 68. Don't think he's an every lineup play because the foul trouble risk is real. That's the fact that he's been hurt and they just might not want to play him a ton of minutes. And they are happy to go Anthony Gill because they'll frankly get a better shot at losing if they do go Anthony Gill's way. Not that Vukcevic is like contributing to winning basketball or anything, but like Anthony Gill is small and does nothing out there. So like they'd be happy to not play Vukcevic too. Again, I think Vukcevic is your best value on the slate, but I have a lot more questions about him in Washington right now than I would generally. The fact that he's been hurt lately, the fact that Washington doesn't want to win, but now has to be sneaky about how they don't win. I just don't know what that means for guys like Vukcevic. For Sharif Cooper, it potentially is even riskier. He's playing a good amount, putting up 0.82 fan sports minute lately. Shooting probably unsustainably well at 64% true shooting. That's not great. He's not contributing incredibly well at fantasy points per minute, but he's shooting well while doing it. Like you would love to see him be that low while shooting terribly, because then that means there's more room to get better. But the big thing for Cooper is, like I mentioned, he's been basically their tank commander guy, playing upwards of 35 minutes in games lately when they have not wanted to win. So for Sharif Cooper, does that continue on with Washington and seeing teams getting fined 500K, 100K? I don't know, but I think he's still a value play to get above the field on. Field's 7%, I'm at 24, and the minutes projection from Stokastic feels a little bit high at 26. So if that comes down, he might disappear a little bit more. Will Riley, another guy benefiting from the tanking minutes, but not really enough to trust minutes-wise because you have enough bodies that could play instead of him. I think it's really Vukcevic, Sharif Cooper here, and nothing else. Detroit at the Knicks, 220.5 combined points expected here. Again, no Beef Stew for a few more games. No Jalen Duren for one more game. So Paul Reed is mega chalk here. 31% owned by the field. I'm at 35. Think it's totally viable today to go to Paul Reed and Daron Sharp. Just avoid Vukcevic if you want to play that way. Paul Reed historically has gotten his minutes jerked around by Detroit. Can also get in foul trouble as any player, especially a big man, can. But I do think his minutes, to me, felt more secure in that last game than they did previously. They just didn't yank him around as much as they were when Isaiah Stewart was available, or even before, like when he played one game where they wanted to play Tolu Smith over him. They might have fallen back in love with Paul Reed, would be my guess, in the last game they played. Cade Cunningham, Fields 11%. I'm getting 13. Pay up option, it's low owned, that has a massive ceiling against the Knicks. Don't mind Cade here. But really, I think Detroit's just those two. Tobias, maybe. Tolu Smith, if you saw foul trouble for Paul Reed, they might need the size out there against Cat and Mitchell Robinson. So, like, he's a good per-minute producer, but I think it's just mostly Paul Reed and Cade. Knicks, really nothing here. Fields a 10% Cat. I'm not getting there. Only 4% for me. Jalen Brunson, I have 8% of, and the Fields at 7, so not a noteworthy stand there. My projection is 1 fantasy point lower. Should be a competitive game, but and these two teams, some animosity going back to the playoffs last year. But projection-wise, I don't see it. Certainly if you play Paul Reed and do a Knicks bring back, Not a crazy thing to do, but the projections just really aren't there. Nobody on the team above a 5x value. Toronto at Chicago, 232.5 combined points here. One of the better totals on the slate. Toronto getting 119.5 implied points on their end. The big ownership is going to RJ Barrett. Fields at 29%. I've at 19. Barrett at 6,300, a little bit cheap, but he's easily your third best producer on the team. And frankly, probably closer to your fourth. I'd put quickly ahead of him in most situations. And that's it. Barrett's a little bit cheap for sure. Barnes ceiling at 9,100, always going to be there, but don't think the projection works as a 4.5x value. It's a good spot on paper for Chicago, but nothing's coming up here really. Getting Pirtle back in doesn't help either. Chicago on their side, getting Josh Gideon really doesn't help here. Getting 5% of the Gidler feels at 2.5%. So not a big stand there, but definitely has the upside. I don't think you want to play Simons or Buzelis with Giddy back in. Colin Sexton off the bench. He'll be away from the highest usage guys for the most part, but getting Trey Jones back in today, probably not great for Sexton because Trey Jones might be ahead of him in the rotation. We don't really know. Yeah, really nothing in this game. I don't see it for anything besides, I guess, Barrett being too cheap. Last time out, Detroit put the clamps on Brunson. Imagine Grand Theft Alvarado gets some run. I mean, it just depends what they need. I think Alvarado's going to get run more so if they need, some defense on a lead ball handler. Alvarado can always earn minutes. I don't know that, I wouldn't play Alvarado today, even if you think he's going to get more run. I just don't think he's a great play, no matter what. He needs to hit, he needs to have a day where he hits 8 threes to have that kind of upside right now. The upside for Alvarado will really be if, Brunson's ever out for an injury. I think that's where Alvarado probably looks good. Oh, you mean both guys get shut down? Alvarado's not really a shutdown defender. He's annoying, but, if Cade wants to score points at Alvarado, he can. I don't know. Individual defense in NBA, never really a thing for me. Same thing for shutdown corners in NFL. It just doesn't really matter. But I appreciate the thought. Phoenix, the Spurs here, 229.5 combined points. No Dylan Brooks. Maybe gives a little more usage to go around. But Devin Booker's rates just don't do anything. I'm 4 points low on Booker today, and I tried to give him a rate boost because, getting a guy who gets up shots as much as Dylan Brooks does should help out somebody here, but it doesn't. And for Devin Booker, I'm at 35.8. Stokastic is at 39.8. I think they're giving him some historical respect that's not showing in the data for this season. For Devin Booker this year, with Brooks off the court, just a quick sanity check on this. Devin Booker's put up less usage, 28% usage. This is a 990 possessions too, so very stable sample size. 1,000 possessions is going to be stable. Only 1.1 DK points per minute, 25% usage rate. So the guy who gains more based on the data is Colin Gillespie. Colin Gillespie gets about 3% more usage, gains 5% assist rate, puts up 1.14 DK points per minute. And actually, this is a funny thing. Colin Gillespie, in minutes without Dylan Brooks this year, actually is outproducing Devin Booker. And it's a big sample size, 1,400 possessions. And some of that's off the bench, so that probably helps. But Gillespie's putting up 1.14 DK points per minute this year with Brooks off the court. Booker only 1.1. I think Booker is one of the most disappointing players in the NBA this year. But point being, Fields 11%. I'm not there. I'm getting 5. My projection, though, is so low. Gillespie getting 5% of the Fields at 2. And I think Gillespie is a better play relative to price tags. But the matchup with the Spurs, not a great total. Just don't see the Phoenix Suns here being a team that we want to get too much. Even though Brooks being out, should help on paper. Spurs side, Stephon Castle coming up a little bit for me at 7,400. Shooting guard as well helps a little bit there with that position being tough to stock this week, or today rather. 10% ownership for me, Fields at 5. Wemby, I think, is a good pay-up option to get to as a low-owned option, but projection-wise, not really getting there. De'Aaron Fox, Fields at 2%. I'm getting 3. Not a lot of love for the Spurs for me today, but I'm okay with Castle and Wemby. I do think is a nice game theory play. And that is our main slate. Night slate data is on here too. Again, I don't know if FanDuel has all the games on today or not. It's hard to keep track of all stuff, and I don't care about FanDuel generally, despite giving you guys projections for it. But here's the late slate. Boston at Golden State. Orlando at Sacramento. My sim numbers didn't save for some reason. There you go. That's everything if you care about the night slate. All right, we're going to go over to Stokastic in a minute. Before I do that, guys, take a look at my sim data real fast here. Of course, this is part of the VIP tier, which you can get for yourself through splashplaypodcast.com. You can still join through YouTube if you want, but cheaper and better for me if you go through splashplaypodcast.com, so do that. You can see the sim data down below. Not the night slate. Your main slate here. So Tristan Vukcevic, you can see making 68% of my winning lineups across 100,000 contest sims. Jarris Walker makes 45% of them. Tyrese Maxey, 43. Grant Williams at 35. Paul Reed at 35, not too far behind. Guys who score 30 plus the most in the slate across 100,000 contest sims. Wemby does it 100% of the time. Jalen Johnson, same thing. Tyrese Maxey, 99% of the time. Guys who score 40 plus the most. Jalen Johnson, 93% of the time. Wemby, 93. Tyrese Maxey, 87. So you're starting to see a little bit of separation there. 50% plus, 50 points plus the most. Jalen Johnson does it 2/3 of the time. Tyrese Maxey, 53% of the time. Wemby, 51. 60 plus the most. Jalen Johnson, 32% of the time. Maxey at 23. Cade Cunningham at 15. So you can see why I'm getting the most Jalen Johnson here based on my data. Guys who 5x the most are Tristan Vukcevic, does it 98% of the time. Sharif Cooper, 87% of the time. Paul Reed at 86, which is just out of Drummond and Barlow. And guys who 6x the most, Tristan Vukcevic at 83% of the time. Sharif Cooper, 61. Paul Reed, 49, just out of Grant Williams and Andre Drummond around 40%, let's say. But that's my sim data, guys. Check it out, updating throughout the night if you join the VIP tier at splashplaypodcast.com. But now let's hop over to Stokastic, see what they have for us. Looks like they updated at 2:20 p.m., so we'll get some relatively hot off the presses numbers here. But guys, again, show some love. Hit that like button and subscribe. Even though probably more long-winded today than I needed to be, we had to catch up on a lot of stuff, and it is a massive slate. So I'm going to show up and do the work here as best I can for you guys Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. And as I've mentioned early in the last couple of videos for the All-Star break in particular, your views, your likes, your subscribes go a long way here because you guys kept hitting the like button when I asked in a heartfelt way. I guess spelled it out really well for you guys. And ever since then, the videos have been getting more than 2K views. So I would love to get to 300 likes a video because I think we might get closer to 3K views, but I would like to keep growing the channel. I want to do it in the way that I'm just keep being authentic to what you guys get here every day. I'm going to show up and do the work no matter what, Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. So please show some love, hit that like button, subscribe, and help me keep fighting that good fight against the YouTube algorithm. Of course, check out Stokastic too. You can see their sim product working in the background here. Get it for yourself. 15% off with the promo code SPLASH over there. Oh, wait, click this instead. 15% off, promo code SPLASH. Again, gets you money off any package on there, weekly, monthly, even yearly. Any sport too. If you want to get golf instead of NBA, you can do that. So check it out. And last but not least, join the channel here. $5 if you want to get to the live chats, just join the YouTube channel. But if you want all my data, the best way to do that is go to splashplaypodcast.com. Get the VIP tier for $10 less. Get the Squirt Squad tier. If you're paying on Apple, it actually ends up being $10 less as well. So good stuff going at splashplaypodcast.com. All my data, the projection matrix, my actual projections updating throughout the night, sim data as well for the VIPs. Lots of good stuff on there. Stokastic exports if you want to use their sim with my projections. So check it out, join the channel, and support what I'm doing here because the work continues on even more than ever. Got MLB going over the All-Star break. Got an NBA, actually not NBA, sorry, an NFL best ball tool going as well, which is not ready for the public yet, but I found a way to do things where it can work on mobile. So I'm doing stuff with that site. There's gonna be a lot more coming up, and no matter what I do, you get in for that price right now. So join if you can. All right, your top ROI lineups according to Stokastic. All right, so I'm not alone on Sharif Cooper Island here. Sharif Cooper, number one. Stephon Castle, Kobe Brown, Jalen Johnson, Tristan Vukcevic, Cade Cunningham, Trenton Watford, and Paul Reed. So double pay-up options with Jalen Johnson and Cade Cunningham. You're also probably getting more unique for playing Jalen Johnson with Cade as opposed to Jalen Johnson with Tyrese Maxey because people will try to correlate that. It's a lot of shitty guys, but you're getting Jalen Johnson and Cade. So, and Paul Reed and Castle, who I like. So I get it. Number two, Andrew Nembhard, VJ Edgecombe, Kobe Brown, Jalen Johnson again, Vukcevic again, Sharif Cooper again, Brandon Miller makes this one, Paul Reed again. So you're not getting the double pay-ups here. Getting a more balanced build as a result. I like this one more than the first one, I think. Number three, you got Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre, RJ Barrett, Jalen Johnson, Andre Drummond, Sharif Cooper, Jay Huff, Tristan Vukcevic. So again, mostly a balanced build here. Definitely some Sixers game stat correlation in the hopes that that environment goes off. And Jalen Johnson again, too. Number four, Sharif Cooper, VJ Edgecombe, Bilal Coulibaly. Oof. Jameer Watkins, oof. Tristan Vukcevic, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Johnson, Paul Reed. These two, no thank yous, but the lineup, I guess, works, and you're getting Cade and Jalen Johnson again. It does seem noteworthy that Cade and Jalen Johnson are in two of the top 5 ROI lineups here. And number 5, this one actually might have some dupes on it. Sharif Cooper, Con Knipple, Kobe Brown, Jalen Johnson, Tristan Vukcevic, Tyrese Maxey, Jay Huff, and Paul Reed. So decent balance throughout. You are doing the inner game correlation with Jalen Johnson and Maxey. Somewhat obvious values around it. Yeah, I could see how that would be duped, but not a bad lineup. It's a lot of Sharif Cooper reliance up top, though. Your top ROI players. Number one, Kobe Brown, and 19% ROI across all the lineups in this set here. So that's a lot of love for Kobe Brown. Sharif Cooper, 17% ROI. We saw him be in all those top ROI lineups. Curious to see what his exposure is going to be across a 150 set. Andre Drummond, a 7% ROI. Jalen Johnson, a 2, just ahead of Tristan Vukcevic at number 5. Cade Cunningham, Devin Booker. Ooh, okay. Not too far behind in terms of ROIs. Highest exposed players. Tristan Vukcevic makes 89% of the top 150 lineups here for Stokastic. Fields at 52. So a massive stand on Vukcevic. Again, the big concern for him is foul trouble and the minutes being limited coming off injury, but he's a great producer, and facing Indiana, it's one of the spots you're not too worried about anything. Jalen Johnson, you're getting 58% exposure. Fields at 23. A massive stand in favor of Jalen Johnson, and like I mentioned, he's going to be in half my lineups, I think, based on what I ran before the show, so I support that. Tyrese Maxey, Fields at 52%. You're also getting 50, so holding hands to field on Maxey. We did see some of the top ROI lineups got more unique by not playing Jalen Johnson and Maxey together, but Maxey's still a good play here that they don't want to fade. Paul Reed, the field's at 33%. You're getting 47 across the top 150. So Paul Reed definitely being favored over Day'Ron Sharpe, but he is $200 cheaper, so that probably helps out a little bit. Jay Huff, 35% exposure. Fields at 35 rather. Stokastic giving you 43. So that's a decent stand on Jay Huff. Jay Huff at 5,200. I don't love it, but facing Washington doesn't hurt for sure. It's a lot of Jay Huff. Kobe Brown also, pretty big stand on him. 36% exposure, Fields at 9. Your highest leverage plays. Tristan Vukcevic, 37% more in the field, not a surprise. Jalen Johnson, 35% more in the field, not a surprise. Kobe Brown, with what we just saw, 27% more in the field. Again, low owned at 9%. 4K salary, though, does allow you to get in what you want around it. That's why we're getting Grant Williams, why we're getting Kobe Brown. Sharif Cooper, you're getting only 31% exposure. The Field's at 6. So despite him being in some of those top ROI lineups, they're not going crazy on him, but you're getting 5x the field no matter what. That's 25% leverage on Sharif Cooper. Man, that's a scary stand, but that's about where I thought, like, I capped at 25% in my data before the show. So I think Sharif Cooper, yeah, if he gets a third of your lineups, it's not a terrible thing, I guess. Andre Drummond, Fields at 10%. You're getting 21% more in the field. He's in 31% of Stokastic's top 150. Your biggest fades in Stokastic data, Day'Ron Sharpe, massive fade here. Negative 27% leverage. Stokastic only playing him in 15% of their top 150 lineups, and the field's at 42. Aaron Nesmith, negative 11% leverage, only 9% exposure, and the field's at 19. I am very cool with that Nesmith fade. RJ Barrett, negative 11% exposure. He's cheap, but you're only getting him in 19% of the top 150 lineups, and the field's at 30% ownership for RJ Barrett. Micah Potter, negative 11% leverage, only 3% exposure, and the field's at 13. And Kelly Oubre, big fade on him, negative 9% leverage, only 13% exposure, and the field's at 22. Yeah, the Day'Ron Sharpe fade to me feels like the least good one out of all of them. Like, in my mind, he and Paul Reed are basically the same guy on the slate. Obviously, Day'Ron Sharpe being $200 more expensive, you're having a less good matchup. That does give you a slight lean towards Paul Reed. But I don't know. I think Day'Ron Sharpe and Paul Reed as viable as they've ever been. Till they get to like 7K, then less so. But let's do a hand build real fast, guys. Last stage of our journey. Of course, the boys can't have an all-star break without coming back, getting a handy. So let's zoom out here. Let's do that. Large contest, 25% to first. Let's see what we get here. By fading Potter that hard, if he's not getting minutes from Stokastic, he's not come up for me. The minutes projection is the thing. They have enough bodies in at this point. Like, for Potter, the reason he hit last time out was that they didn't have Nesmith, didn't have like anybody who's part of the rotation. When you bring in guys that are in the rotation, it just hurts things. So yeah, Potter is not coming up at all. It's not a fade. It's just what the minutes projection is, and you don't get him then. All right. Pull up the player matrix here. Let's figure out what we're going to build. Maxey would still be my top point guard option. But I feel like the ROI won't be rewarded because I know Jalen Johnson's going to make it for me later. But let's just see how it does. Let's put Maxey in. He's my winning point guard 43% of the time, or he makes a winning lineup for me at point guard 43% of the time. So he is the best sim producer overall. Shooting guard for me would be Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes, Kelly Oubre. So all the Philly guys coming up at shooting guard. I'll go Edgecombe and hope that we just get a good environment. If you're playing Philly this heavy, you're going to assume Atlanta's going to produce as well on the other side. So seems logical enough. Let's do small forward first. Small forward for me would be Jarris Walker. He's in winning lines for me 45% of the time. Behind it would be Oubre at 22%, RJ Barrett at 19%. It's a pretty big gap favoring Jarris Walker. Power forward for me would also be Jarris Walker right now in terms of sim win rate. Grant Williams be number 2, Jay Huff number 3, Jalen Johnson right behind them. All these guys around 33% win rates. But I'll go Grant Williams here and save the money. Center. I mean, sim win rate wise, it would be Vucevic. I don't mind going Paul Reed and Day'Ron Sharpe either. But Stokastic will not reward us for doing that because they don't like Day'Ron Sharpe. So let's go Vucevic first. Let's do Paul Reed at utility. Jalen Johnson at forward. 3,600 left for guard, which is not enough for Sharife Cooper. Jacoby Walter would be our best play here. Huh. All right. Well, we'll fade Sharife Cooper. We'll play Jacoby Walter, who is really not even on the slate to me today, but he's not Sharife Cooper, so let's see if it gives us a good ROI. Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jarris Walker, Grant Williams, Tristan Vucevic, Jacoby Walter, Jalen Johnson, Paul Reed. So the reason this still has a decent ROI at 39%, 0.1% win rate, a 2% top 10 rate is because we basically just pivoted off of one of the higher owned plays in Stokastic's data's opinion, Sharife Cooper. We went to Jacoby Walter, still played all the good chalk around that. So that'd be my guess for the why of that. Let's see, can we put in Cooper here? What if I take out Edgecombe? Put him at point guard. Then shooting guard would be Tyree Eason's a shooting guard? Okay. Kelly Oubre instead. So basically, this is what it is. If you play Edgecombe, you can't afford Cooper in this build, and you get Jacoby Walter. If you play Oubre, you can't afford Sharife Cooper, and your ROI goes up a shitload. 114% ROI, 0.3% win rate for the same lineup here. Maxey, but with Oubre swapped in, Jarris Walker, Grant Williams, Tristan Vucevic, Sharife Cooper, Jalen Johnson, Paul Reed. So they love Sharife Cooper in this data right now. That's a scary play, but it's coming up for me too. But if you guys my splash plays for the day in one moment, before I do that, one last ask, guys, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Again, it really goes a long way for me here. I'm just one guy showing you the work here. And it really was a lot of work I did over the break too to get shit right for MLB, to also try to build an NFL best ball tool, which I don't think is going to be ready for any streams I do on that coming up, but we'll be ready soon. So I'm working on stuff all day long here to give you guys the best looks at the NBA, at the NFL, at the MLB on this channel coming up soon. So show some love. Please, if you can, hit that like button, subscribe. If you got any value to this video at all, and if all you're going to do is fade me, it would be hurtful, but you still got value then, so hit the like button, subscribe. Check out Stokastic too, all their data, all their tools, 15% off with that promo code SPLASH. Click the link down below. Go over there, enter that promo code SPLASH when you're paying, and you'll get 15% off. That's any package, weekly, monthly, even yearly. And also, you get great tools, great data at your fingertips, no matter what you want to do, no matter what sport. So check it out. Link down below. Use the promo code SPLASH over there to get 15% off. And last but not least, splashplaypodcast.com. All the stuff I showed you here on screen today, get it for yourself. And real fast, I'll just take you guys through a quick tour of the site before we do our splash plays for the day. If you join the Squirt Squad tier, you get this. You get the matchup screen updated throughout the night where you can see not the Stokastic numbers, but my sim numbers, my projections, all of that. PRA numbers, advanced stats. If you click this button, you get the player matrix as well, which is really valuable for you guys. Again, no Stokastic data on it. You can see all the positions in one place. Great for hand builders. You get my projections as well, exportable. Use them however you want. Updated throughout the night. Simulation data updated throughout the night as well. Basically, whenever I pull data in, I rerun a sim. That's how that looks. You don't get my lineups page, but you do get my export page here with Stokastic sims as well, which I will update after the show. Oh, fuck, I didn't click the right tab. But here's what you get. Squirt Squad tier, you get this and this. You zoom out so you can see it better. VIP tier, you get the projections, you get the simulations, and you get the export for the sim. So check it out. All of that stuff. Join splashplaypodcast.com and get it for yourself. And you can even subscribe yearly if you want on there. That's the cheapest way to do it. But just weekly, monthly, do whatever works for you. But do something over at splashplaypodcast.com. All right, splash plays of the day, which you'll see updating as well if you're a member over at splashplaypodcast.com. Right now, it's got to be for me Vucevic, Paul Reed. I'm going to boost Day'Ron Sharpe, but I do have to say he's coming up less in my data. But he's not really a splash play then because I'm going to be under the field on him. The field's playing Day'Ron Sharpe a lot. So I'll go Vucevic, Paul Reed. Jarris Walker's absolutely one. I'll be above the field on him. He's mega chalk, but I'll be up on that, I think, no matter what. As a value play, not the most fun splash play ever, but Grant Williams is one. I do want to be up on Jalen Johnson. And your Sixers wings, I don't think you want to play them all in one lineup unless you're fading Maxey. But Edgecombe, Grimes, Oubre, those guys will be rotating in through a bunch of my lineups. Pretty confident in that as well. But that's how it looks right now, guys. Of course, everything's going to update, so stay tuned on the splashplaypodcast.com site. I will be updating things throughout the night, as I always do. But I appreciate you guys being here. Make sure to gamble responsibly, guys, especially as we're heading into the back half of the NBA season. A lot of games left, a lot of time left, so don't burn your bankroll immediately, even though it is always money time here on these channels. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel at Splashplay Bets on YouTube, on Twitter at Splashplay Pod. You can find my content whenever it goes live now because I can tweet it automatically. And that's it for me today, guys. So I'll be back tomorrow for more. Tomorrow I'll also be on Stokastic's Live Before Lock, so you get double NBA Spags tomorrow. Maybe an NFL stream coming tomorrow. Not sure if I'm going to do that early or I'm not going to do that yet or not. We'll see. That's all coming up soon, so stay tuned. I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye-bye. And fuck. All right, bye.